They separated when I was probably 3 months old, so being in a split household was very normal for me. So it was very rough. I had to grow up very quickly. My mom was like a very hands-off mother kind of thing, so I really never got like the talk or anything like that. And I honestly did not think I was pregnant. I pulled it out the drawer. I completely did not think it was going to be positive. And I just looked at it and said, it's positive. My child's father was there, and I was like, so like, are you going to drop out of school? Like, who's gonna work? Because like, I was planning on going to medical school. I'm not sacrificing my career. The first thing that she said was, your dad's gonna be so disappointed in you. That just made things 10 times worse. So I did not tell my friends, didn't even tell my friend that I lived with, didn't tell my parents. I just kept it a secret. The fact that I went to a private Christian school, if they found out I was pregnant before marriage, immediately kicked out.
Today, we're joined by Kayleigh, whose story is both powerful and deeply moving. Kayleigh grew up in a complicated family dynamic and later navigated college as a student athlete. At 22, while in school, she discovered she was unexpectedly pregnant. For 6 months, she carried that reality quietly, hiding her pregnancy from everyone while continuing to show up to class, go to work, and push towards graduation, all while feeling like she was living two completely different lives. Her journey is one of incredible resilience and determination. She refused to let an unplanned pregnancy slow her down or derail her dreams. While stepping into motherhood, she continued pushing forward with her goals and ultimately is accepted into Baylor's physical therapy program. Today, Kayleigh shares her story to remind women that an unplanned pregnancy does not define their worth or their future, and that strength often shows up in the most unexpected and daunting seasons of life. If you're listening to the podcast for the first time, we're glad you're here. This podcast exists because of generous donors who believe that no student mom should ever have to face an unplanned pregnancy alone. If that mission moves you, we'd love for you to consider making a tax-deductible gift. Just click the link in the show notes. And if you're enjoying these conversations, one of the easiest and most impactful ways to support us is by leaving a 5-star review. It helps people discover these brave and beautiful stories. All right, y'all, without further ado, let's welcome Kayleigh to Unplanned and Untold. Well, Kayleigh, welcome to the podcast. We are so excited to have you on today.
Hi, I'm so excited.
So we actually ended up randomly finding you on Instagram, and we reach out to a lot of people about being a guest on the podcast, and we don't always hear back from everybody, but we heard back from you. So what made you not brush off our DMs and want to do this interview with us today?
So honestly, like, I love sharing my story. I really want to be an inspiration to other moms out there, but not just moms, like young women, you know, who don't have the best circumstances, wasn't giving the best set of cards, but just learning how to just live life through it all and like keep going no matter what. So I'm just really excited for this opportunity.
I love that. I am so excited. Things have come a long way on social media since I had my unplanned pregnancy. So it's so awesome to see young women like yourself be really transparent on your social media and share your story and want to give other women hope. So I applaud you, and we so appreciate you getting back to us and being interviewed on the podcast today. So let's go ahead and set the stage for our listeners. Can you tell us a little bit about how you were raised and what your family life was like before college?
Yes, of course. So growing up, my parents were never really together, like never married. They separated when I was probably 3 months old. So being in a split household was very normal for me. I did the 1 week off, one week on thing with my dad and my mom, and they didn't have the best relationship. I honestly joke around all the time, like, I don't know how they were ever compatible. Like, I never see, like, I cannot imagine them being together, but here we are. I'm their only kid together, so no brothers and sisters between them two. And growing up with my mom, she is an alcoholic, was an alcoholic, and so it was very rough. I had to grow up very quickly because, you know, I had to become an independent person on my own, and that was a little hard. And I was also exposed to an abusive household, and so not only was I dealing with the alcoholic mother, I was also dealing with abuse and just having to be kind of the adult in the household. Like, I was cooking, I was cleaning, I was taking care of myself, I was getting myself ready for school every day in elementary school, you know. And so that was kind of what it was like growing up for me, just being independent and just really just learning how to rely on myself.
That's a lot of responsibility at a very, very young age. And growing up in a household like that, do you feel like there were any spoken or unspoken messages about pregnancy and motherhood?
Right. So my mom was like a very hands-off mother kind of thing. So I really never got like the talk or anything like that. And I actually went to full custody with my dad in seventh grade. So like about the time where you're starting to learn all about all of that stuff, I didn't really have the mother that I needed in that time. And with my dad, I live in the South, and so pregnancy and like sex before marriage and everything like that is kind of a taboo topic. And so I think by the time that he had the conversation with me was in high school. And at that point, it was like a little bit too late. Not that he tried, but it's like you really need a mom to step in and like have a girl to girl moment. And that just didn't happen. And my dad was trying to be the best mom that he could be, but he's still a dad, so.
That's a hard role for a male to fill. I mean, even with my husband, we have a little girl, and even to this day, he's a bit uncomfortable going and getting tampons for me or just anything feminine related. It's a little awkward for them. And so I can only imagine your sweet father, trying to open this conversation about the birds and the bees. But at that point, high school, you're in the game.
Yeah.
You'd probably heard so much about everything, and a lot of that is talked about amongst peers, the truth and things that are not so true.
Right.
Oh my goodness. So talk to us a little bit about what your college experience was like. I mean, coming from a house like that, I don't know if you were like me. I was ready to be free, to experience all the things. They say YOLO in college, and I really took advantage of that. What was your college life like?
Yeah, so coming from an abusive household, I learned to really love school because it was the only safe place that I had. Like going home, I never knew what it was going to be like, but at school, I knew I was safe and I didn't have anything to worry about for those 8 hours or whatever it was. So I always did very well academically. And starting my sophomore year of high school, I decided to try out for the soccer team. I did not know anything about soccer. I did not even know how to kick the ball, didn't know the rules of the game, didn't know anything, but I've always been pretty athletic. And so I ended up making the team. I started every game my high school career on varsity. Like I just put my head down and worked my butt off. And so I actually ended up playing in college at a school in my home state. And college was practice, games, all of those things. I was also in the honor society, so like I was busy all the time. Like, and for honors we have service projects, and then I went to a Christian school, so we had like mandatory chapels and things like that. So college was very stressful, like, and packed with events. It's a small school, so like. And I come from a big city, and so I was a pretty popular person in college. I played sports. I am a city girl. Like, it's hard not to stand out. But so that's kind of what college was like for me.
So then you find out you're pregnant. What year are you, number one, when you find out?
So I found out the first day of my spring semester of my senior year.
Oh my goodness. And how did you find out you're pregnant? Did you have symptoms? Was this, a random like, oh my gosh, I think I could be pregnant, or what happened?
Yeah. So like I didn't have my period for a little bit, and I honestly did not think I was pregnant. I had just moved into my new apartment with my old roommate. We had just got our first apartment together, and the next day I started my new job. And so I just was stressed because I just got this apartment, got a new job, and I'm like, I just want to take one thing off my plate. So I'm going to take a test just to eliminate that stressor, God. So I go to my first day of work and come home, and I take the test, and I'm like, you know what? I want to wait a little bit. Let me eat dinner because if it's positive, I'm not going to be able to eat. So I put it in the drawer, eat dinner first. And then I'm like, you know what? Let me go look at it now. I pull it out the drawer. I completely did not think it was going to be positive. And I just looked at it and said, it's positive.
Okay, I got to pause you for a second too. Why did you think it wasn't going to be positive? I find this hysterical because I'm with you. Like, I am with you. I never thought, all of us, we always think there's no way we're going to be pregnant. We're having sex, but like, there's no way we're going to be pregnant. What made you think that there's no way this was going to be positive?
I was like, my life is together. Like, everything's great. Like, there's no way that I'm pregnant. Like, no way.
Oh my gosh. So in that moment, what goes through your brain? What emotions do you start feeling? Obviously shock.
Yeah, I'm shocked. And honestly, I just immediately okay, so my child's father was there and I was like, so are you gonna drop out of school? Like, who's gonna work? Cause I was planning on going to medical school.
Wow.
So I'm like, I'm not sacrificing my career. Like, right. Are you kidding? Right. I'm about to go to med school. I'm about to finish college. Like, so one of us is going to have to work. And so I really just started thinking logistically. Like, I was just like, okay, well, looks like you're not going to school anymore. Like, he played football and he was not as far into school as I was. And he really didn't plan on using his degree. He was just there to play football and he wanted to be like a blue collar worker anyway. So I was like, I mean, you don't plan on using your degree. I plan on using mine. So
How long were y'all together before you found out you were pregnant?
5 months.
Okay. So this is even like a new relationship at that.
Yeah.
That's a lot to navigate through that time. So y'all have both digested that you're pregnant. Y'all are going to have a baby. Who do you tell next? What are your next moves? So the first person I told was one of my close friends. And the first thing that she'd said was, your dad's going to be so disappointed in you. So we didn't talk for a while after that because I'm like, why would you say that? Obviously, I already know that. And that just made things 10 times worse. So I did not tell my friends, didn't even tell my friend that I lived with, didn't tell my parents, didn't tell anybody. I just kept it a secret. For how long?
I didn't tell my parents till I was 6 months pregnant.
Oh my goodness. Now, did you go back and see them? Did they notice, was your body changing or?
I never went back and saw them, honestly. After I moved into my own apartment, I had my own place, so there was really not a reason to go home. And the only reason, this is really bad, but the only reason that I told them is because I was about to graduate and you could tell, obviously, at that point. And they were going to see at graduation. So I was like, well, I kind of need to tell them now.
So how did you tell them?
Well, I called my dad and I was like, so, I have something to tell you. And I told him I was pregnant and he was more hurt than anything that I couldn't trust him and that I had to go through it alone for so long. But I was terrified and I didn't know what else to do.
I can't imagine walking through that for 6 months alone. And at that point, you're still in college, you're still working, you're still trying to graduate. That had to be a huge, heavy burden. What do you think that, was your number one pressure to not tell other people? What made you keep it a secret for so long?
Really, the biggest thing was the fact that I went to a private Christian school. And so if they found out I was pregnant before marriage, immediately kicked out. So that was the biggest thing. I'm already almost done with school. And private schools, your credits are so hard to transfer. So I was just I have to keep it a secret. There's only one person at my whole entire school that I told, and it was my professor that I was doing my research with because I was a chemistry minor, and so I was working with a lot of chemicals. So I had to disclose that I was pregnant to him for my own safety and for the baby's safety, But that is the only person that knew my whole last semester.
Oh my goodness. So once people start finding out and you start telling them, where do you feel like you did not have support? And were there any places that you felt where people did step up and help support you?
Yeah. So once I started telling people, the people that I worked with really like rallied around me still to this day. Like they, what I had people that I worked with that weren't even working that day that would show up. And I was a waitress, and we had to flip the chairs on the tables at the end of the night every night. And even if they weren't working, they would show up and help me put the chairs on the tables just because like they didn't want me lifting the chairs and things like that. They would mop for me, like things like that. And they showed up like in a big way. To this day, they still show up for me. And the like area that I would say that I didn't receive a lot of help was obviously my family, but not because they didn't want to, but because I didn't allow them to.
So what support do you feel like if you could have needed the most at that time?
I definitely would have to say like a mom. Like I needed, even to this day, like our relationship looks different and it is hard. Like becoming a mother, like especially a single mother, like you need your mom to rely on. And I don't have that in a lot of ways. And it does make it harder, you know?
Absolutely. I can definitely relate to that. It's almost like you don't have the map, the guide of how to do this and to do it well. And so unparenting yourself from the way that you were raised while also raising a child is probably one of the hardest things as a mother that we can do, because
Yeah.
you want to strive to be the best mom you can be. You don't really know what that looks like. You know what it doesn't look like. So having to heal that inner child while also showing up every day for your child, I think it's something our generation, a lot of women in our generation struggle with. And I do think in today's generation and us as young mothers, we are seeing a shift of involvement in our children's lives and a shift of wanting to check all the boxes and make sure our children know that we are present and they are loved and that there's open conversations. And so I can definitely relate to you on that topic.
Yeah.
So can you describe a moment where the weight of doing this largely on your own really hit you?
Yes, exactly. So I remember it's my last year of school. I'm doing a capstone research project by myself. I'm working every single day of the week as a waitress. I'm going to school every single day as a full-time student. And my child's father now lives 2.5 hours away from me. And we just got this new apartment in the city that we planned on moving to. And we had nothing in it. And we had a couch. And I remember sitting on the couch. And at this point, like, our relationship was failing. And I just felt so alone and like defeated, and I didn't know if I could keep going anymore because I felt like when I needed people the most, they weren't there for me, and I'm just carrying all this by myself, and I'm traveling to go see my child's father every single free day that I have, and my doctor's appointments are 2.5 hours away back home.
Whoa.
So I'm traveling to go to the doctor all the time, and I just felt spread so thin, and I just felt alone, and I remember sitting there on the couch, crumbling and just being like, this cannot be my life. I need somebody to pour into me.
Absolutely. It's hard when the baby gets here, but it is extremely hard when the baby's not there, because I feel like there is that stigma and that shame that we carry so deeply, and that light at the end of the tunnel is not yet there. Once you have that baby, nobody can tell you anything anymore. It's almost like their opinions, they do matter to some degree, but once that baby's there, it's that light at the end of the tunnel. That is your purpose. That is everything that you are pouring into. But when you're pregnant, it feels so much more isolating, because you're doing it basically by yourself. So I can't imagine all that you had to carry, especially the traveling back and forth to doctor's appointments, the capstone project. I mean, just me waiting tables in college and going to school full time, that was a lot. That was a lot to juggle. There's a lot on your body too.
Yeah.
It is a physically demanding job to be on your feet and be rushing around, and pregnancy brain is real. So if anyone is listening to this, that you ever see a pregnant waitress, y'all better tip her out the wazoo, because she is a superwoman doing all of this.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So take us to graduation day. What were your feelings? You're what, 6 months pregnant at this point?
Yeah.
How does it feel to walk across that stage?
Honestly, my first thought was don't fall on your face, because even though I was 6 months pregnant, I'm still wearing the 5-inch heels that I planned on wearing. And I did. Like,
oh my God.
And I did. And nobody was going to tell me different. Like, now were my feet crying at the end? Yes. But that was my first thought. Like, do not fall on your face. My second thought was I was genuinely just so proud, and I felt such a sigh of relief. And I remember one of our student speakers were talking about like going through adversity, and I thought like this might have been pregnancy emotions, but when I tell you I cried and cried and cried, and I'm looking around, nobody else is taking it as hard, but I'm like these people don't even know what I'm sitting here with a baby right now, and these people don't even know, and I'm just like bawling my eyes out. I'm like, yes, that's me, that's literally me.
Oh my goodness. What assumptions do you feel like people made about you when you were pregnant, or even being a single mom after graduation, that are just not true?
I would say, obviously, like being a young single mom, people assume that you're like some, easy girl that don't have any morals, and that's just not true, and it's like, coming from a Christian college, it's like you're so judged at this point because your sin is evident, but it's like everybody else is literally sinning too, and it's like, I don't know, that was the biggest thing, like just judgment of your choices. And everybody makes mistakes, not that my baby is a mistake, but like you just feel very judged. And then especially as a young single mom, it's like I didn't choose to be alone. Like I wanted the family too, but 100%.
I oftentimes hear about the stigma feeling like a scarlet letter, like that book they made us read in high school.
Yep.
And it's so true, because it almost feels like you're on display, whether it's the pregnant belly or you're pushing that child in a stroller, and you're young enough to be the nanny and not the mom.
Yeah.
It's really hard to navigate through, and people do make a lot of assumptions that, oh, well, she must, not be very protective about who she's sleeping with, and kind of like you said, easy. And what's really funny, you said that word, and I had like a flashback. I was a Delta Zeta in college, and we were known to be the easy deesies. And I could not tell you, if I had $1 for every time, jokingly, people would say that to me, of like, oh, you were the easy deesy, weren't you? Oh my gosh, like the things that people say, just even joking, they stick with you. They stick with you over time. And a lot of that is not true. Like you said, most of my friends were out there having sex before marriage. Mm-hmm. I just happened to be the one that got caught in that. And although we wouldn't take it back for anything in the world, it definitely is hard to walk through in front of society.
Yes.
What characteristics do you feel like enabled you to push through those difficult times?
I think I am a very, very, very determined person, and I am the type of person that, like, if somebody doubts me, I'm going to prove you wrong. Like, I don't care if I die trying. Like, I will show you that I'm going to be successful through this, and I will show you that I can do anything. And that's a bit of my stubborn side, but I will run through a wall to become successful and to prove everybody wrong. And I think that's really the biggest thing that got me out of such a dark place, because I was like, you know what, I don't want people to keep seeing me here. Like I want, and not only just everybody else, like I want my son to see like, wow, mom really brought herself out, and through all of the adversity, like she still gave me the best life ever.
And it's so beautiful. How old is your son now?
He's 7 months.
Oh my gosh, so sweet. So is he starting to, pull up on things and sit up?
We're just starting to sit up. We're doing the whole rocking back and forth thing.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh, itty bitty. Those days fly. How many people told me that? And I was like, yeah, right. Because it's hard. That age, it's hard. But their personality starts to come out around that age. And you see like who they really are. It's the sweetest.
Yes. And the personality he has.
Yes. Oh, so, what are your hopes for the future when it comes to conversations surrounding unplanned pregnancies? I mean, you are somewhat of an activist on social media sharing your story. A lot of women would say, okay, my personal story is separate than my Instagram public view of what everyone thinks about me. And that's not the direction you chose to take. So, what are your hopes for the future when it comes to discussions like this?
I just want more women to feel comfortable sharing their story and not feeling like they failed, that it might have been a hard chapter, but it's not the end of the story. And that being a young pregnant woman, like you still can accomplish anything you put your mind to. Yes, it is going to be harder. And I think it's important that we're realistic about that. But that doesn't mean that you stop your dreams and that you put your life on hold and that, oh, now we're just moms now. Like, yes, being a mom is such a great and important responsibility, but you still have dreams and goals and aspirations that you can accomplish. And, the age-old saying, like, you can accomplish whatever you put your mind to. And I truly believe that.
I do too. Speaking of dreams and goals, what does the future look like for you now that you've graduated?
Yes, I'm so excited. I actually start physical therapy school in June, at the end of June. So
Heck yeah.
I'm so excited.
That's a doctoral program now, so that's a really big deal.
Yes. I'll be going to Baylor, and that was like my dream school for undergrad. And then medical school, I obviously wanted to go there, but like having time off from school really made me realize like I want to be able to have a life at home and not sell my soul to the hospital as a doctor. And I shadowed a physical therapist right by my house, and I was like, this is what I love to do. I've always been very big into like being active, exercising, and then implementing the medical aspect. I'm like, oh my God, this was made for me.
This is it. I love
Yes.
it. One of our very first student moms at our Auburn hub, same story. She graduated Auburn with her undergrad and she went to PT school and graduated, and she owns her own practice. She's working as a PT now. I mean, the sky is the limit. She just got married. They have 3 babies now. I mean, her episode, if y'all go back and listen, it's Kayleigh Ritchie. She's probably pretty far down on the episode list, but she didn't let this stop her. So many people even told her after she graduated undergrad, that's all, like, just join the workforce. There's no way you can go get your doctorate. Like, it's going to be too much. And she did not listen. Not only did she persevere and get her undergrad, but she went and got her doctorates of physical therapy, and she's living her dream life right now. So it's very possible. And I am so proud of you for not putting that dream in a box for a later date. I mean, with a 7-month-old, you're still going for it. And I know with that attitude, you're going to hit it. You're going to hit all the dreams and goals that you have for yourself.
Yes. And going off what you said, like, I think that's a big thing too. A lot of people and a lot of people in society, they're like, just wait until this happens. Just wait. You'll never be able to do this. Yeah. And it's like, why are we tearing down moms? Like, why can we not be like a support, come alongside them and support them, be like, yes, it is going to be hard, but here's how I can help, instead of just saying, just wait.
Exactly. I've heard that in so many ways of like, just wait until you see what your body is going to look like after having kids. That was one that I kind of heard a lot, or the whole, you'll never find somebody who's going to love you and your child that's not biologically theirs. I mean, so many of these lies, because that's exactly what they are. Now, statistically, Maybe the statistics prove that right. But what you don't understand about a lot of these women who have unplanned pregnancies, the ones who finished college, nothing is off the table. Like once we have our mind set on achieving something, we're just we're cut from a different cloth. I love talking about that on this interview because even talking with you for the short amount of time, I'm like, this is my kind of gal. Like she doesn't back down. In fact, like somebody tells her, please tell me I can't do something because that's just going to motivate me to show you that I can. Probably more than me telling myself I couldn't do it. Let somebody else tell me I can't do it.
100%.
Let's find out. Oh, so when you look at your precious 7-month-old today, what do you hope that he understands about what it took to get you here to this point and what it's going to take to get you through PT school?
I hope that he doesn't feel any of the hardships that I've been through. I hope that I have been able to heal enough from my own childhood trauma that he never experiences any of that. I hope he's young enough that he never sees mom struggle, Obviously, when he's older, I'm sure that we'll have a conversation, and I hope he is able to see, like, I can do anything because my mom had every single card dealt against her, and she still overcame, and she still gave me the best life. And I hope he does that for his family one day, too, and that he sees that he can do anything no matter what.
That is so beautiful. And Kayleigh, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and being an advocate for other women. I know it just would be so much easier to brush this under the rug and pretend like you don't have a 7-month-old at home and pretend like you're not going back to school. But that's not the route you took. And it takes a very brave woman to be able to share her heart so vulnerably. So thank you so much for sharing today.
Of course. Thank y'all for having me.
Absolutely. And I'm so excited to continue to watch your journey. And for all of our listeners, we will go ahead and put her Instagram handle in the show notes so you can follow along with her journey too. And for all of our listeners, we hope to have you back for our next episode of Unplanned and Untold. Bye-bye. Unplanned and Untold drops new episodes every other Wednesday. We're available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and give us a 5-star review if you love this episode. I'm Caitlin Willing, and this is Unplanned and Untold.